Hey guys, it's Allie, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my best tips for buying your first American Girl doll and how to take care of them. American Girl dolls are definitely more expensive than the average fashion doll such as Barbie, Rainbow High, or OMG dolls, so you definitely want to make sure that you are keeping your doll in good condition because you paid good money to get that doll. So as someone who has been collecting dolls their whole life, but American Girl dolls since 2014, I want to share with you guys my best tips to keep your dolls in really good condition, how to store them, and the essentials that you need when you're just brand new to doll collecting. So without further ado, let's get started. Obviously, to start your whole collecting journey, you do need a doll. And I have made a video on my channel before with the best dolls I recommend for beginners. I will link that in the description if you do want a more in-depth talk about the dolls that I would recommend for a new collector. But if you don't want to watch that whole video, though I do recommend watching it, I will just sum up the most important points here right now. So especially if you are getting a doll for someone younger, or you are watching this video as someone younger, definitely get a doll with straight hair. Straight hair is the easiest hair type to maintain. My first American Girl doll had straight hair, and the reason that it is the easiest is because all you need to do to take care of the hair is just brush it. You don't have to worry about curling it. You don't have to worry about messing up the hairstyle. All you do is just take your brush and start from the bottom of the hair and work your way up to the top, trying to remove all of the knots. Don't brush top to bottom because then you're just going to create knots, create split ends and rips in the hair, and it won't be good. Definitely stay away from dolls that have the really curly hair types, such as, she's retired, but Gabriella in my collection, 58, 67, 85, just because that hair is definitely a lot harder to take care of. The more you touch it, the more frizzy that hair is going to get, and recurling every single one of those curls takes forever. I definitely do not recommend getting a doll like that for a kid if it's their very first doll. If you're a little bit older and you think that you can manage taking care of the doll, go for it. Start with a doll with straight hair, then move on to wavy hair, and then curly hair, just because you want to make sure that you are preserving the wig and hair, because that is one of the most important parts of having a doll in good condition, in my opinion. So when you do buy your first doll, you don't just want to get the doll. There are a few items that I do recommend picking up if you do have a little bit of extra money on hand. And the first one, as I mentioned earlier, is a doll hairbrush. When I got my first doll, I bought the doll and the hairbrush, and that was it until I started buying outfits. American Girl does have a hairbrush. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head how much it costs. It's either $8 or $12, but compared to everything else American Girl sells and the doll itself, it's not that expensive. You do want to make sure that you are using a wire brush. I know our generation has a similar brush that might be a little bit cheaper. My Life also might have a wire brush, but I'm not 100% sure. Just make sure you're not using one of the brushes that have like bristles on them that are made of like a hair-like material. And I'm not too sure if plastic bristles are okay, but I know wire ones for wigs is definitely the best option. And try and make sure that the hairbrush you use is not one that you use on human hair, as human hair has a lot of oils in it and we don't want to be putting those into our doll's hair. So try and have a doll only brush with wire bristles. Some other care items that I recommend for your doll: you don't buy from American Girl directly. I would recommend just looking at the dollar store, as they do have a lot of these items. So I would recommend a magic eraser. It is one of two really good methods to clean your doll's body. The first one is the baking soda method, which you just need things that you probably already have in your pantry to make it, such as baking soda and water. But I personally prefer the magic eraser method, as it's just less mixing and still super easy. So magic erasers are not that expensive to get, and I believe it is the most popular tool for cleaning dolls in the AG community. And what you do is you just wet it with water and then you just wipe it on your doll to remove the dirt. Just be careful on the face area to not get any of the face paint. If you do want to see how I clean a doll, I have a playlist of videos where I fix up American Girl dolls, which I will link in the description, so you can see what I do to completely fix up a doll and keep them in good condition. The next thing is a spray bottle, another item that you can pick up from the dollar store, but I believe American Girl does offer one you can buy, but the dollar store would definitely be a lot cheaper. Just keep it filled with some water, so whenever you are doing hairstyles or fixing up a doll, you can just wet their hair and then take your brush and work your way from the bottom to the top, brushing out all of the knots. Another emergency item I recommend for doll care is something called micro mesh. I got mine at a hardware store, and it's kind of like a buffer, like a nail buffer, if you know what those are, and there's different grades of texture. I don't know if I'm using the right vocabulary, but different grades that you can buy. It's really good good if your doll ever face plants on cement and gets a big scuff on them, because that has happened to me and a bunch of other people, and it will help smooth it out, and I believe it might also be able to help remove shine marks too. So it's just good for any emergency situation, so you don't have to spend a ton of money to ship your doll for a new head. If your first doll or any of your dolls do happen to have curly hair, not the super curly hair, but if they have like wavy hair or curly hair like Caroline's, I strongly recommend picking up curlers. Now there are so many methods out there on how to curl doll hair, but my favorite one is to use curlers. Once again, I have shown how to do this in fixing up videos, but spray the doll's hair with water, brush it out, grab a small section, roll it up in the curler. I like using foam rollers, and then just let it dry overnight. Super great way just to make sure your doll's hair is always in perfect condition. Now that we know how to care for our doll and we have our first doll, I want to talk about how to keep your doll in good condition. So the first thing I will talk about is storage. One thing a lot of people have said is to never leave your doll in a sitting position for a long period of time. This is because their limbs are attached to their body with a type of elastic. So if you leave them sitting for too long, that's going to stretch out the elastic and lead to looser limbs faster. So it's best to keep your doll lying down or standing up. But the reason I recommend keeping your doll standing up is because if you keep them lying down, a lot of dust will end up going all over your doll's face. I used to keep my dolls like this and they had dusty faces, and I always had to clean them before I took photos or videos or whatever. So now what I use is a shelf. I have these bookcases from IKEA that I will link down below. Each case holds 16 dolls, which is absolutely perfect. Of course, if you are brand new to collecting, I really don't think you would have 16 dolls, but I've seen people store them on just floating shelves or even smaller bookcases, but that is what I recommend. As for storage for accessories, furniture, and clothing, the dollar store has a lot of great bins that you can pick up. Since I do have a lot of doll clothing, I use an organizer from IKEA, which I will link down below. Each bin is for a different type of clothing item, and I have another cabinet where I store my hair accessories and some giant bins for all of my other accessories. So just figure out what works best for you with the size of your collection, and definitely check out the dollar store for really good storage bins that aren't that expensive. In terms of outfits and clothing, if you really want to get super trendy items for your doll, like maybe you're a little bit older, we all get those items from Etsy. There are so many amazing Etsy shops. I've opened packages from so many in the past, and even though it can be a little bit expensive because it is handmade, I use Etsy clothing all the time on my dolls. But if you do want to buy outfits from American Girl and you're like completely starting with no clothing, I recommend taking a look at the doll's outfit that you bought. So for example, the current Truly Me outfit has a jacket, a dress, and some shoes. So I would classify it more as a spring summer outfit rather than a fall winter outfit, because if you're like trying to take photos in the snow in that, your doll would just look like they were cold. So the outfit I would buy next would be one that probably has pants and a long sleeve. So I have clothing for all the different types of seasons. Try and get a few skirts, a few dresses, a few pants, and you can never go wrong with basics that you can just mix and match and create a ton of combinations with. From there, I think the type of outfits you get really depends on what you plan to do with your American Girl doll. If you plan to play with your dolls like I did when I first got into them, I would buy my dolls PJs because I wanted to dress them in their PJs every night. But if you prefer using your dolls for photography purposes, how often are you going to take photos of your dolls in pajamas? So that might not be as high on your priority list in terms of outfits. As for accessories, there are so many fun finds out there that are 18-inch doll size. I recommend checking out places like the dollar store or the craft store because they have a lot of cute fun finds there. American Girl accessories can be a little bit pricey, so I would recommend going for a cheaper brand such as Our Generation or My Life As for doll accessories, but I am a sucker for doll food and I always buy American Girl doll food because it is so cute. Finally, I'm just gonna end off with some general care for your doll, how not to destroy your doll type of talk. So the first one is try not to get your doll wet, especially the area where their cloth is because they have stuffing under there, and if you don't let it dry out properly, then there is a risk of having mold there in the stuffing and your doll smelling. Also, don't get water in their eyes as it can make them rust because there are metal components in their eyes, and try not to leave your doll in the sun or a hot room for long periods of time as their vinyl can get really squishy. So hopefully these tips helped you guys out, whether you are brand new to the world of American Girl dolls or you are a veteran like me and you just want a little refresher on how to take care of your dolls. If you guys liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below how long you have been collecting 18-inch dolls. So are you brand new or have you been doing it for a long time? I'm very curious. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and ring that bell so you are notified whenever I I post a new American Girl doll video. And of course, have an amazing day, and I will see you guys soon with a new video. Bye!